Corey Levis.
I sent him a text today from,
Yeah.
"Hi, everybody. Welcome. Welcome, 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 welcome. Come on in. Come on in. I'm poolside in the United States of America. We'll get to that in just a second. But welcome to the FiveStack. My name is Dean, deanblundell.substack.com. That, of course, is my friend Zev Shalev. Narrative.org is where you can find him. And doing this in two different countries today is going to be kind of fun because obviously we're going to cover some bases around Mr. Donald Trump. We're also going to cover some bases around the feeling between the United States and Canada, that's starting to ramp up. Did a podcast with Stephanie Wilson, Dr. Stephanie Wilson, this morning, and it was funny because she asked me a question this morning. American, New England, she would love to be annexed. She would love New England to be annexed to become a Canadian a province, as would most states here in the United States. But what I found fascinating about my conversation with her this morning is she said, do Canadians like us? Like, how do you guys feel about us? And it was this really kind of like open-ended, still a specific question. And I have to say this because I've walked into several rooms since I've been here. I'm in Orlando. And I have met several people that I never would have met. And obviously you have no idea about anybody's, political leaning or ideology. My God, Americans are so nice. Especially the Americans. I'm dude, so helpful, so kind, so happy, so easygoing. This morning these two ladies, I went and got a coffee, and these two ladies are like, "Excuse me, sir, your coffee's over here," and just like two patrons. That doesn't happen in Canada. You're like, "Oh, that guy's coffee's over there." I don't even want to tell him his coffee's over there, waiting for him
You're in a holiday
because I'm too
zone.
busy.
You're in the
Yeah, I know.
holiday zone. You're like
I
in a
know.
place where everyone goes and chills out and relaxes. You're in the middle of, glorious Florida with its beautiful palm trees and its beautiful beaches. And, can you show us around? Can you show us what's there? Are you allowed to?
Yeah. No problem. Yeah, I'm happy
The
to.
producer in me
So,
can't resist living vicariously through you in that beautiful pool. Wow,
yeah.
that is a nice way to spend the day.
Yeah.
Enjoy that. That is lovely. Well,
Well, to be fair, I did a podcast this morning. I'm doing this, and I've got one with you at 5 o'clock,
yeah.
right? So, it's not like I needed to get outside because it's getting cold in Canada. I wanted to get some vitamin D, and so
Absolutely. You don't even have to explain yourself. We're supportive of what you're doing. And you know what is
no,
great is I would
what's
not
that?
be able to do the show live with a microphone in the middle of a pool area, but you have no problem with it. You're just like, whatever. I'm a broadcaster.
Yeah, I'm
I'm
a
used to
professional
this.
broadcaster. I've done this for several years. I'm not
Yeah, it's
bad
not
at it. I can figure it out. It's
not
just
your
a
first
matter of
rodeo.
no. I've been to a couple. But just to backpack
Yeah.
onto the original statement of how kind Americans are.
Mhm.
Um, I have yet to meet a human being here that's a Trump supporter. Like, not one. And I have met dozens and dozens and dozens of Americans. And when they find out you're Canadian, they do the obligatory, "Oh, we're so sorry." But the vitriol for him, I went and came to visit a friend, and we just came to this day spot today to just kind of hang out. And then, he's introduced me to a bunch of different people. And he was a Trump supporter. Not anymore, obviously, because of what he's doing to Americans, what he's doing to his friends. He's got, friends that are migrants that have been caught up in this whole thing. And I think the support so far for Donald Trump that he likes to telegraph that he has, whether it's race, it's a fucking mirage, dude.
Of course. Yeah.
It's
I
a
mean, look,
mirage.
the polls, as you pointed out, are showing him in the low to mid 30s. And we know that what they're doing is a projection of disinformation and misinformation into
Yeah.
America, and the capitulation of the media is the other part of it. But you're in like the heart of Florida, where there is a lot of Republicans. This is a Republican territory you're in. I mean, you're not diehard Republican territory. I think Orlando does flip from time to time, but an hour out from where you are is real red territory.
Oh yeah. Oh, it's very red here. I mean, like it is the entire state of Florida. This is DeSantis country, right?
Yeah.
So, it's amazing to me because there's this undercurrent of like extreme hatred for the embarrassment that their country is suffering. And you talk to any individual. Last night I talked to one of the guys who's one of the heads of the International Brotherhood of Iron Workers or Electrical Workers, and great guy, really good dude. I think his name's Joel, and we sat down and kind of just discussed this state of Florida, State of the Union, and he was adamant that, dude, there is no way he won that election. Too many people hate him. I don't know anybody that fucking voted for the dude. And we are literally in no man's land now. And all of our relationships are gone. All of our relationships with Canada. The fact that he's not talking to you, and this is an American saying, the fact that they're not talking to Canada anymore, that he shut down relations with Canada, I had to correct him and told him that Canada shut down relations with him first. Um, so, but he goes, the fact that he did that and he's like negotiating with North Korea and Russia, he
Yeah.
goes, you have no idea how that embarrasses Americans. Like you have no idea. We are an embarrassed society. And I thought that was a fascinating conversation.
That is a fascinating, but this is not the first time Americans have been in this position of being embarrassed by their president. I mean, certainly George Bush was the same. People were very embarrassed at that time, and they're traveling around the world to be American. They were all embarrassed about the war. Yet they went and did it again with Donald Trump. I mean, when do Americans learn their lesson? When do they finally stop electing?
Allegedly never.
Allegedly never. Okay, now they've got that right. We should probably get into the countdown. The number 5 story on the countdown today is... sorry, I didn't have it. There was a big build-up for nothing. Number 5 is... It's coming.
It's something.
It's something,
all right.
Donald Trump, he's number 5. He's fired the Arts Commission ahead of the ballroom and his triumphal arch projects. The White House terminated all 6 members of the Commission of Fine Arts on Tuesday, an independent federal agency that traditionally reviews major construction projects in Washington, including monuments and government buildings. The commission was expected to review Trump's planned $300 million White House ballroom and his proposed triumphal arch in the Capitol. Biden had appointed these commissioners to 4-year terms extending through 2028. But they're out immediately as the White House prepares to install allies more aligned with President Trump's America First policies, whatever that may mean in relation to building a palace. This is ridiculous, but he's going to keep doing it. I had a thought the other day that what he's really doing is starting to redo the entire White House as a palace. That what we're seeing in the ballroom is just the first section. It's the rebuild of the East Wing. He's going to do the same thing on the West Wing, and he's going to gut the middle probably and turn it into a giant palace. For himself, presumably.
I don't doubt it at all. I don't know if you watched Heather Cox Richardson. She had a Substack Live the other day. It was fascinating, and she sort of posited that Donald Trump, literally in the middle of the night, angry at America, angry that he had pushback to do any renovations at the White House with the East Wing, which is what happened. Just called some demolition companies and said, "Tear it all fucking down.
Probably.
Tear it down." Tear it down. And the reason why he did that is because he was pissed off that someone said no to him, or this is a bad idea, or you shouldn't do it. And as a flex, because we all know who this prick is, he just called some demolition companies and said, like on a Saturday or a Sunday, take it all down. There is, and this is important context, there is no known understanding of where the artifacts from the East Wing went. Keep in mind, this is 200 years of history. There are no known understanding of where any of the artwork went. Keep in mind, this is the People's House. It belongs to the United States of America. Don't know if they've been bubble wrapped. I thought that was interesting. She was, I don't know if they've been bubble wrapped. Maybe they have. Some of the pictures and paintings and busts. Like, there's millions and millions and millions of dollars and literally American history that he just ripped to the ground. And the reason why he did it, according to Heather Cox Richardson, is because someone told him he couldn't. Now, let's fast forward. Someone told him he couldn't build his palace. Someone told him he couldn't build an Arc de Triomphe to himself on the other side of the Lincoln Memorial. Someone told him that you're not allowed to put up monuments like this as an effigy to yourself. And what does he do? Another temper tantrum. He fires everybody on the arts committee, like literally everybody. These are historians. They're not government appointees that Biden just said, "Oh, you're my guy. You're a Democrat. You believe in me." These are people that like curate museums and art collectors and like professionals in that world with doctorates and stuff like that.
They're guardians of American history.
Yes.
And this is what they do.
Yes.
They're not just arbitrarily sitting there and just saying yes or no to Donald Trump's plans. They are guarding our American history. And this man has just bludgeoned it. But it's stunning to me how little regard he has for the authorities in this regard. But it's also stunning to me that he's building these monuments. I mean, we've seen this all before. Every single dictator that has come to power around the world always leans into building monuments, always leans into building these things that are meant to inspire the nation. But at the same time, he's gutting healthcare. At the same time, he's keeping the government shut down. At the same time, he's bombing people in the middle of the oceans. I mean, he's got complete disregard for anybody except his own legacy, I guess, if that's what he thinks this is going to be, although it won't be a very good one.
No, it's the show. He is it is the Trump show, and he has absolutely no interest in hearing the word no. In regards to what he's doing with America's money. Like, that's the other thing here, right? He says the ballroom is completely financed by himself. It's not. He's got the Winklevoss twins, which is hilarious. He's got Bezos, Musk, a bunch of different people have shoved tens, hundreds of millions of dollars into the center of the table so that Trump can build his monument to himself, his effigy to himself, and everybody. It's again, the guy, Rick Wilson's calling it the Epstein Memorial Ballroom, which makes me laugh. But what it is, on its face, if you consider the whole of what Donald Trump is currently doing, and I'll go to Argentina for this example. He gave Javier Milei $40 billion to keep that company afloat because Javier Milei calls progressives shit leftards. Keep that in mind. In an interview the other day, he's like, "They're a bunch of shit leftards. I hate them all. I hate it." So he's got a fan in Donald Trump because he hates the same people. He talks like Donald Trump. He acts like Donald Trump. So Donald Trump gives him $40 billion, but also Scott Besson and a bunch of cronies invested in the Argentinian economy when Milei came to pass, and so they're protecting their investment. This week, 42 million people, 40 billion for Argentina. Guy threw himself a rock concert where he was the headliner, by the way. Fucking wild. 42 million people are going to lose access to food because SNAP is going to go bankrupt. 42 fucking million people. Around 1 million people collectively in the United States lined up for food yesterday because they can't afford it. Men and women in uniform, people that have low-paying jobs, people that Trump is targeting. And if you think about the ostentatious spending spree he's on with your money, whether it be the Arc de Triomphe that he wants to put next to the Lincoln Memorial, whether it be the $300 million ballroom, and you bet your ass they're going to use government money for that. Whatever it is a slap in the face to every single American that is struggling today, that is spending $2,400 more a year just because of his tariffs. There are 865,000 bankruptcies this year because of Trump's tariffs. I don't know if you've seen the Save America ad campaign that they just put out where they juiced up the Canada ad and then put an ad out about allies. Steve and his team have done just an incredible job. But it really...
I have it. Do you want to hear it?
Oh,
Can we hear it? Is
please.
anything to hear? But it's just the audio, right? Let's see if I can get it up to you.
It's audio, but it comes with the video as well. So you might not... The video is actually really incredible because he's put dollar amounts to how broke and poor and miserable the United States of America is.
Doing
Meanwhile...
a patriotic thing by protecting American products and jobs. And sometimes for a short while it works, but only for a short time. But over the long run, such trade barriers hurt every
this is the
and consumer. High tariffs inevitably lead to retaliation by foreign countries and the triggering of fierce trade.
So this is the same ad basically as the Canadian ad, but they've added all these facts and figures on top of it in the video, which are quite startling. So people should check it out at deanblundell.substack.com. Incredible details about all the economy's going through.
There's a growing realization.
Well, it's real. It is the... I believe farm bankruptcies have, if I'm not mistaken, I believe farm bankruptcies have doubled this year. You're paying 70% more for specific products because of this, and that's really the fascinating thing for me now is that the giant paintbrush that Donald Trump uses to create everybody's new reality or the sim that he wants to live in. Once you actually lift the cover off of that, you can actually truly see how devastated this entire country is right now, and from everything to coffee to Medicaid. Right? I know we're going to talk about Medicaid, but like premiums for a friend of mine who I'm visiting went up 400%.
Yeah, we're going to get to that story in just a few minutes. The optics are terrible. The optics of building a palace, which is essentially what he's doing, while America struggles financially in every which way, is just unbelievable. Number 4, Elon Musk yesterday launched Grokkipedia, a Wikipedia competitor, where every entry is written by his AI chatbot Grok, but Grok obviously has been taken over by some Nazi brain. And the propaganda is immediate and brazen. The white genocide theory, for example, entry presents empirical underpinnings for the supposed campaign to eliminate white people and argues the media systematically suppresses this conversation.
Is that in Grokopedia?
Yeah, it's in Grokopedia. Conversation due to ideological biases favoring multiculturalism. Adolf Hitler's entry mentions his leadership and rapid economic achievements before the Holocaust, while the Islam page questions the religion's inherent compatibility with liberal democracy.
Are you serious?
Yeah, this is real. It's from Atlantic, did the story. Musk's own entry notes his reported 20-pound weight loss. This is his own entry about himself. It says that he's lost 20 pounds and his legendary weightlifting routine, while omitting any reference to his maternal grandfather's documented racism and support for South Africa's apartheid. This is the world, according to Elon Musk. Crocopedia.
I can't stop laughing. That's the funniest shit I ever heard. There's nothing to say. I mean, there's no dissertation you can make when you go, well, this is bad, and here's why. He's rewriting history.
Yeah.
He's using his algorithm to wipe out his entire white nationalist agenda, his technocratic agenda. He's fucking using it to wipe out his grandfather's history because it's that embarrassing. That's the goal, right? I mean, this is why we're here. I mean,
It's brainwashing.
we're here. Yes. It's brainwashing. It's sanewashing. It's the destruction of history. It's the destruction of fact, destruction of truth. The post-truth society we live in, I cannot believe. I didn't know that story before you started talking about it. Well, I knew we were going to do it, but I was like, and I saw the thing on X. It's like, welcome to Grokopedia. I'm like, oh, this promises to be a load of bullshit. And clearly, my friend, it is.
Yeah, and we've watched him sort of beat Grok into the ground by every other week he's retracting the latest version because it's not unwoke.
Because when it tells the truth, he's like, well, that's no good.
Yeah, that's not my truth. That's not my truth, America. You have to believe my truth because I'm Elon Musk. Therefore, I will proclaim what the truth is. I mean, we are witnessing something really dangerous, though. I mean, it's funny, but it's also dangerous that, with AI and with the reliance on AI comes this possibility that entire ideologies, entire chapters of history can be completely removed from our knowledge base, and a new indoctrination can begin. And even if it's a very subtle one, you can imagine how all these broligarchs are going to be doing exactly this because it's in their interests to do exactly this.
It's the destruction of fact, the destruction of truth, which has always been, and this is the inevitability of what Trump has done to society in North America, to the world, really. It's that post-truth understanding that, remember Kellyanne Conway, lies are alternative facts. Remember that a couple years ago? It's like, okay. And then her and George broke up. Anyway, but it's just the creation of a sim. I chatted with Dr. Stephanie Wilson this morning. I was talking about that. It was great. By the way, everybody should follow her. She's an incredible writer, and she looks at life through a historic lens, but incredibly fact-based, where, you could tell she had certain issues with even some of the stuff that I was saying. I'm like, I think I'm on the money. But the truth is that you're being shoehorned by Trump, every single oligarch, into a reality that is just simply not true. And these guys are so powerful now, they have the ability to wipe out history, dude. That's what Grokopedia... Listen, folks, couple things you should never do. Consult Grokopedia for research. Ever. And the other thing you should probably do is not consult Grokopedia for research ever.
We're all got our biases. Every single one of us has biases. We all want to believe certain things, and we like the beliefs we have. That's why there are beliefs. So it's okay if you select certain facts that reflect your ideology, and when you're just debating something, you can highlight those facts more than the other person. But to do this on a wholesale level like this, to take something that you are, saying is a factual source for people and then turn it into an ideological propaganda machine run by the Russians is unbelievable on the face of it. And, the fact that this man has this much power tells you that these billionaires have too much power. Like, we really have gotten to the point where, we can't allow this kind of amassing of wealth that's going on by certain individuals. I think, did someone say the other day that the top 3 people in America had more money than the bottom 30 or something, or what, 50% of America? Like, that's kind of outrageous ratio.
I think the number is like something like 2%. The richest 2% of Americans have more money than the bottom 80% of Americans, or 90%. It's something like that.
I think it's gotten even worse now. I think it's even just like the top 6 guys, the Elon Musks and Zuckerbergs and company, all have a lot more wealth than the majority of Americans. I mean, it seems insane that only a few people have this power, but here we are. The number 3 story, the Trump administration released preview prices for Obamacare marketplace plans, showing an average 30% rate increase in federal markets and 17% in state markets. But the real damage comes from expiring enhanced subsidies at year's end unless Congress acts. These subsidies make insurance effectively free for lower-income Americans and for the first time offered help to people earning over $64,000. But they're caught in the shutdown standoff with the Democrats demanding their extension as a condition for reopening the government. Now, this is just one example. Sue Moynihan of Oregon, her healthcare monthly cost jumped from $439 to $1,059. I mean, that's insane when you think about this as being the core healthcare that so many Americans rely on.
Just to kind of bring this full circle a little bit, I got in an Uber yesterday, and after I get in the Uber, gentleman, his name's Daniel, nice guy. He's like, "Where are you from?" I'm like, "I'm from Canada." He goes, "Oh." And this question, it's funny because I've had a few people ask me this question, and the things that we in Canada take for granted that Americans don't. He goes, "Dude, what's free healthcare like? Like, what's that like?" And my comedian buddy who used to warm up for Colbert, Pete Dominic, it's always a topic of conversation every single time we jump on any kind of Substack Live or a podcast, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And it is so foreign to Americans because it is so expensive for Americans to visit a doctor. And Donald Trump, with these Medicaid cuts, SNAP cuts, let's just put those aside for a second, and his big, beautiful bill, taking healthcare away from 22 million people and then jacking up your premiums for those who still have access to healthcare 3 to 5 times what you were paying a month. Last year, medical bankruptcies in the United States, 600,000 people declared medical bankruptcy. In Canada, 0. And as I'm talking to this gentleman about it, he's like, "What's it like?" I'm like, "Well, you guys had 600,000 medical bankruptcies last year. We had none." He's like, "Do you have a doctor?" I go, Yeah, I've got a couple doctors." He goes, "You do?" He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "So, like, do you pay for anything when you go?" And I'm like, No, we don't. Like, if you need a doctor's note, sometimes there's a surcharge. I don't have like a prescription plan, so I pay for my prescriptions, but I don't have any prescriptions. I'm not on any medication. And he goes, "You're not on medication?" I go, "No." He goes, "Oh man, that's unreal. Everybody here is on
It's true.
on
It's true.
medication."
They love their
like,
meds down there.
Yeah, oh my God, they love their meds. And he goes, and then he said something to me, and I'll never forget what he said. He goes, "I drive an Uber and have a full-time job, and I drive an Uber to pay for my medical bills, and I'm not sick." Like that is, and then to find out, right, like that this gentleman now has to pay 3 to 5 times his premium because Trump needs to give tax cuts to his friends, going back to the conversation we had a couple of minutes ago about, the disparity between the richest people in this country and the poorest people in this country. The fact that this entire country has not risen up to take back their country and demand those healthcare cuts not go anywhere and demand they expand Obamacare is foreign to me, because that's what would happen in Canada.
It really is surprising to me we've not seen, and we'll be talking about this at 5:00 with Nick Parrow and company, that there really has not been a protest movement that's tackled issues yet. We've had the No Kings protests and whatever, but there's no one out there saying this government needs to open up tomorrow.
Yeah.
This, get every single representative that we're paying right now needs to get back to work from their government-funded, taxpayer-funded vacation and figure out a solution to the fact that the government is shut down because they're not doing their jobs right now. Instead, there's barely a peep from anybody. I mean, I think there's got to be. I'm not saying publicly there is on social and all of that, but let me tell you, folks, being vocal on social is not the equivalent of protesting outside Capitol Hill. It just ain't. The visuals aren't there, and the investment that you're putting in is not as doesn't come back at you in the same way as social media is. Social media is very important, but it's not going to win you the fight at the end of the day. You have to protest issues that matter to you. If your government is not giving you the health care that you deserve under law because they're shut down right now, how could it be possible that these representatives are on this vacation that the taxpayers are funding? They should be behind closed doors inside Capitol Hill figuring out a solution, and they should not be allowed to leave until they've got a solution, until the government is open.
That's and they're all getting paid.
Which is ridiculous. Yeah. They're the ones getting paid, and while the federal workers are not available. Look, I love
and lining up for fucking food stamps, and that's the other thing, right? Like, I don't mean to interrupt, but I want you to get back to your Obama point in just a second. You're talking about a group of people, the GOP, that haven't sat in the House for more than 2 days since July the 14th.
I mean, who has that kind of life in America? Well, you do. You're by the pool, but I'm just joking. Just back to Obamacare. I was there when Obamacare was first introduced. I think it was such a signature achievement for Barack Obama, and it finally gave Americans something that looked and felt like free healthcare, even though it wasn't free healthcare, but at least it was universally available to everybody or most people. The fact that these Republicans, while they're building palaces to themselves and monuments to themselves, can be stripping away the healthcare of ordinary Americans and watching ordinary Americans starve and do nothing about it is just a stunning indictment on this whole regime, and another good reason why they have to go.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself. The hypocrisy wrapped up in fancy language and the fact that he's been able to convince people that losing your health care is good for you because it helps, and this is really what it comes down to. It helps stick it to the libs, right? It helps stick it to the man. It helps stick it to the deep state. It's been fascinating to watch, but everybody's still under his spell, I guess. I mean, I don't know. It just doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever that man is still in power and that this entire country hasn't just stormed the gates, so to speak. Because when it comes to healthcare, specifically that one issue, this is one of the sickest countries in the world. One of the sickest countries in the world. Life expectancy in the United States is 2.8 years lower than it is in Canada. We share the same landmass. Suck on that tonight.
And they're responsible for some of the greatest innovations and advancements in medical health in the world. So it's always stunning to me that the country that invents all the best healthcare, that has the best advancements in healthcare, is also the most expensive to get healthcare in. Like they're carrying all the costs of this innovation as well. The Federal Reserve cut interest rates by a quarter point Wednesday to a range of 3.75 to 4%. It's a second consecutive cut, but the month-long government shutdown means the Fed could be operating without official data on jobs, inflation, and growth, just driving blindly when it meets again in December. Major layoffs at Amazon and UPS this week signal labor market weakness. Unemployment hit 4.3% in August with just 22,000 jobs added, but inflation remains stubbornly at 3%, partly due to the Trump tariffs. The driving blindly, not having this job data is unbelievable. The Fed is having to take guess. I guess they're guessing at what the economy looks like for the next month.
The shutdown really works out for Trump that way, doesn't it? Right? Like if you think about it, not just, it gives him free reign to do whatever the fuck he wants, to continue to hurt people, continue to bankrupt the United States of America, to build arches in his honor and ballrooms in his effigy. But, the data point is not lost on me, because all Trump cares about is the fact that you don't know. He doesn't want you to know. He doesn't want you to know how terrible the jobs numbers are. He doesn't want you to know about the state of the U.S. economy. And this works in his favor like you wouldn't believe, right? If you figure out the fact that Donald Trump does not give a shit about anybody, doesn't give a shit about you having information, so you can plan your day, you can plan your life, you can plan your career, plan your investments, et cetera, go get a new job, all those things. Those are all within those jobs data packs, right? Those are all within the U.S. government's ability to be able to tell people, hey, we're telegraphing this in this industry, this is what's going on, or, mortgage rates are coming down, or interest rates are coming up. Like that's America's job, is to inform all these people.
Yeah.
So the more in the dark you are, the happier the Trump regime is. The more in the dark you are, the less information you have, the more he can continue to move forward with his agenda, whether it's Project 2025, whether it's legitimizing Bitcoin as the Federal Reserve, and that's really what's at stake here, or whether it's just being able to stick it to everybody in these United States of America. He does not want anybody to have any information. And I go back to this old analogy, that a buddy of mine, we were chatting about it the other day, because I love history and what history teaches us. In Egypt, during the times of Cleopatra and the pharaohs, they had high priests that had access to books, right? That's why they called them high priests. They thought they were magic because they knew so much. But they never shared those books with the people. And there's a reason why we didn't share those books with the people. They had sphinxes and pyramids to build, and they needed cheap slave labor. That is exactly what's going on here. History repeating itself 2 to 3,000 years later because it fucking works.
I'm glad you said that, and it's brilliantly said. I also want to add one other possibility here, that what we are witnessing, as far as I'm concerned, is a crime in progress in the United States. They are busy stealing the wealth of America through cryptocurrency, and we'll get to that in a second, but all sorts of other mechanisms that they're extracting all this wealth out of America. And in order to do that, especially through tariffs, they need, if let's say he's building this stockpile of tariff money that's coming in on the shelf and he's not really sure what he's doing with it. Maybe he just wants to walk away with it. Who knows? We know that the consumer will ultimately pay for this. We know it down the line. At some point, this catches up with consumers and they will pay the higher prices of all of this. We know that will coincide with a real inflation problem. And we know that the US dollar is going to suffer dramatically at that point, because all these things converging are just going to create a weakening American dollar. This is going to create a similar scenario to what happened in the Great Depression. We could see the entire market crash. It looks like all the same mechanisms are at play. We even heard Ronald Reagan rise up from his ashes there and reveal in that tape, in that ad that Ontario put out, that in fact tariffs do exactly this. They land up hurting the people of America at the end of the day if they're used as a big bludgeoning tool like Trump is using it. And so in order to do that, you have to cover it up. What is Trump doing by silencing all these departments, by not allowing all these economic indicators from coming up? He's covering up his crime. He doesn't want anyone to know that this crime is in progress. So if he hides the data on the jobs, and if he hides the data on inflation and consumer confidence and all of that, people won't know that the economy is crumbling, or that we're seeing this inflation rise in certain parts of America as jobs are just disappearing, and as these tariffs continue to make it more and more expensive for Americans to live. Not to mention the Medicaid increases and the energy cost increases. Everything is just making it so much more expensive for Americans to survive. And while he's stealing all that money, you're getting poorer, and now he's covering up the whole crime.
Oh, and sicker, by the way, poorer and sicker. And that lack of data that you have, to Zev's point, brilliantly stated, is by design. It is a feature, not a bug. We say that all the time. The meanness is a feature, not a bug. The fact that the government is shut down is a feature, not a bug. The fact that no one's getting any information about jobs numbers or interest rates, and the Fed can't actually operate the way that they want, that's a feature, not a bug. And in every single one of these features, they're all meant to enrich him. They're all meant to make him more powerful. They're all meant to make him more omniscient. So, I mean, what is there to say outside of that, other than the fact that, fuck, we told you so. And that's another thing. A conversation I had with a guy last night, because we didn't understand the devastation the first time because we had to elect this dickhead a second time. And he's like, I have yet to find someone, yet to run into anybody. And this is an American, the guy from the IBEW. And he's like, I've yet to ever run into anybody who thought this was a good idea the second time around. Now we're experiencing what this is. And the other thing is, he's like, a lot of those people that did vote for this cat are too embarrassed to admit it, because they're all losing their jobs. They're all paying more for everything. They're all going bankrupt. They're all handing in their keys at the door, and they just don't want to admit that they were wrong.
Which brings us to the number one story. A Reuters investigation reveals the Trump Organization's income soared 17-fold in the first half of 2025 to $864 million, with over 90%, some $802 million coming from crypto ventures, including the World Liberty Financial Token, the sales there at least, and this Trump meme coin. Eric and Don Jr. have been on a global roadshow from Dubai to Bulgaria, selling WLFI tokens to foreign investors, many with troubling legal histories. Like this Chinese businessman, Guren Bobby Zhu, under investigation in Britain for money laundering, met with Eric in Dubai and his entity, and later bought $100 million in these tokens. Hong Kong crypto billionaire Justin Sun, charged by the SEC in 2023 with fraud, bought $75 million in tokens before the commission paused his case weeks after Trump took office. So we are seeing the mass enrichment of the Trump family on a scale that has never been seen before.
Is anybody surprised? Are we shocked? Are we shocked?
It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. You know, I mean, the average presidential salary must be $400,000 a year. They're making $864 million in the first half of the year is quite a take home for any president or presidential family. And the fact that it's just brazenly done without anyone stopping them is even crazier.
I would be interested to do a comparative analysis of every president of the United States of America, how much money they were worth before they became the president, how much money they were worth after they became the president, and how much of that they accrued while becoming president. I think it's probably hard to justify, or not hard to justify, that Donald Trump will make and is making as much money as humanly possible through as many avenues as possible because he knows that he can. And I would find it very difficult to believe that you know what he's doing. I mean, I'm going to say it's not even very difficult to believe he's doing it. He is leveraging the president's office to enrich himself and his family, the Trump crime family, and is doing it in the open, doing it through his sons, doing it with some of the most cantankerously fucking corrupt crypto dickheads, guys that sold tens of millions of dollars of meth online, like Ross Ulbricht, like literally pardoning people so he can get access to their money so that he continue to do this. The pardons for hire. I mean, the Chrisley family, that's another whole story. The woman who's pardoned her son by giving Donald Trump $1 million in Mar-a-Lago. I mean, you know, and not to mention, you know, every single person that has had a pardon from Donald Trump, you can guarantee yourself he forced them to pay him. He is monetizing the office of the presidency in ways that nobody ever thought possible. He's monetizing the office of the presidency in ways that are completely fucking illegal and unethical on top of it. And again, nobody seems to give a shit. It blows my mind that he just continues to do it out in the open too. That's the other thing. I mean, give him some credit a little bit. Like he's so fucking brazen about it. It's like, I made $800 million and I declared in the first 10 months of my presidency, I made close to $900 million. By the way, I'm only going to pay $750 in taxes this year. Like, it's just...
And I want to get $250 million for the Department of Justice for correctly indicting me and putting me through the legal trials that I had before.
The suck it fee. I call it the suck it fee. He's like, you know what? You guys can suck it because I'm the president now. You guys, this country prosecuted me for 4 years for legal crimes. Give me $230 million and I'll call it a day. And he owns the Treasury too.
There's more. You know, World Liberty Financial, it hasn't actually built its peer-to-peer lending platform yet. It doesn't actually exist. So basically, they're selling people the idea that this platform is going to happen. The WLFI tokens offer holders almost nothing beyond limited voting rights. And it's trading at 14 cents down, 65% from its brief September peak. But it's another con by the Trump family. This is never going to happen. This is just them pocketing all the money.
Oh, this is going to be like Trump U.
Yeah.
Right? This is going to be like Trump University, where it's like, I'm still waiting for my modules for my course. And they're like, don't worry, it's coming.
Yeah.
Don't worry, it's coming. How do you, oh my God, I didn't know that. That's incredible. So it's not even trading. This is just an idea. It's people
trading,
giving him billions of dollars for an idea that this might happen.
but their platform itself is not built. I'm not quite sure the mechanics of it all, but they have not actually built the thing. They've announced it. They said they're going to. They've got these investment deals, $2 billion from the UAE. They've got CZ from Binance saying they're going to make, America the crypto capital of the world. But actually, we're not quite sure what they're going to be doing on this platform because it's not built yet. Well, that is the FiveStack today. Live.
Shocking. FiveStack. I learned two things today. Even though you sent me the actual schedule, I was like, oh, I had no idea. That's incredible. Thank you. I appreciate the information.
No worries. You know what it is? It's all about the fact that we are today. This show just lines up by itself. People might think there's a theme, but it sort of just magically happens in a weird way every day. And today we really learned the story of how this guy's building a literal palace for himself while earning $1 billion in crypto profits from nothing, just came with thin air by selling America's
jacking
interests.
Up your Medicaid by 5 times, by increasing,
shutting down the government,
removing food stamps, shutting down the government, making you line up for food even though you have a well-paying job. Yeah, welcome to America, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. Thanks for watching the FiveStack today. We really appreciate it. Live poolside in America. My name is Dean. You can go to my Substack at deanblundell.substack.com. Free or paid, we're just super grateful that you guys are here. Really grateful that you share the content, specifically some of these conversations with other people. Gift a subscription, super cool way for you to bring people into the mix to kind of get them to understand what's at stake and also protect and protect the United States from this ongoing assault. And then also the ability that you have right now to be able to share this information so freely with your thumb, hitting that little button. Oh, I see all these hearts. It's so incredible. And then that little arrow, don't sleep on that. And if you're new to the FiveStack, hit that little chyron at the top. You can subscribe to both Zev and myself at a moment's notice. But thank you for stopping by. Really appreciate it. And make sure you visit narrative.org and give Lev a quick follow and a subscribe. What are you working on over there today, sir?
It's still Zev, but it's okay.
Zev, fuck.
I'll be writing about the crypto story later on, but we've got a 5 o'clock thing with Nick Parrow that we're doing. So we'll be talking about the protest movement and all of that. Plus the new greatest heist is coming out, and there's a lot more coming out on the site. I just wanted to say, deanblundell.substack.com and narrative.org and a few others, we really are understanding that we have a new role to play in this ecosystem because the mainstream media has sort of abdicated responsibility for giving you the truth and the facts. So we are working at growing this enterprise. We're working at expanding what we do and how we do it. And that all requires some investment, and your subscriptions to us go a long way to helping us build out the future that we're wanting to build out for some sort of sustainable, powerful network that allows truth and facts to still remain a factor in American journalism. So please join us at either narrative.org or at deanblundell.substack.com. Free or paid. It's always great to have you along and help us build that future. And with that, we'll wish you a very good day. Dean, I'll see you in a bit. And cheers, everybody. Have a great day.
5. Yeah, we'll see you in like an hour with Nick Parrow. Everybody will be over there in like an hour, 5 o'clock. Have a great day. Thanks for doing this, brother. I'll talk to you in a bit.
Cheers. Have a good day.
Bye. You too. Bye.